What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck idea that I totally borrowed, and not stole, from Orabomb, and that is a deck centered around Glaceon-GX and Greninja-GX. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. And let's do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you are new to the channel here at TTM, we are a collaborative channel, which means that there is more than just myself putting out videos. We also have Danza, or Crobat for the win, and TTM Jolt. Us three are the main three that send videos to the channel, and then Maddie Brawlick occasionally will do a video here and there. He is undoubtedly the sex appeal, though, so yeah, we like to include him in there with us so that by association we can be that much more attractive. But yeah, so we are a collaborative channel. We do more than just the TCG, which is why you're on this video. We also have a lot of draft format, and then the occasional Smogon video if that actually ends up happening. So yeah, if you are interested in more facets of Pokemon than just the TCG, I encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And also, if you would like to talk about all the different types of facets, really, I guess, to use the same word again, of Pokemon, we also have a TTM Discord. It will be linked in the description below. I encourage you guys to check that out. But anyway, I rambled for too long. Let's go ahead and get to the question of the day. And honestly, I usually try to make these more so about the decks than anything. Well, I try to make the questions somewhat relevant. But tonight, I made some really, really good pasta. It was just rotini with meat sauce that included green bell pepper, onions, and mushrooms, so it was really, really good. And so that got me thinking, well, what are your guys' favorite pasta? Like, what types of sauce do you guys like? Well, I guess what types of pasta? Because, I mean, I really like tortellini, cheese ravioli, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoy all different types of pasta. This is a random question, but let me know what types of pasta and what types of toppings or what types of fillings you like in your favorite pasta in the comments section down below. Love to hear what you guys are eating, and if there's any of you from Italy, then I envy you greatly. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, it's centered around the combination of Glaceon-GX and Greninja. And for those of you that don't know, Glaceon has the Freezing Gaze ability. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's Pokemon EX and GX in play in their hand and in their discard pile have no abilities except for Freezing Gaze. So basically, what Glaceon does is shuts off your opponent's abilities, which is pretty darn detrimental in this day and age where abilities are so incredibly important. I mean, even just like in this deck alone, 1 ability, 2 ability, 3 different abilities from our GXs alone, which, I mean, kind of shows you how reliant a lot of decks are on EX and GX abilities. I mean, take like Zoroark and, well, take Zoroark. I mean, it's splashed in a lot of decks. That means trade is no longer usable. Then you also have Lycanroc, like a Zoroark deck was popular for a while, but since Buzzwole has kind of just become OP, then Zoroark has fallen out of favor. But even just that, Lycanroc as well also loses its ability. So ability lock is very strong. And then the Greninja line with Frogadier with the Gale Shuriken puts 2 damage when it evolves, and then Greninja with Shuriken Fury, 3 damage counters when it evolves. You're able to use these guys to just pick up little damage here and there on your opponent's Pokemon, put them in range of Glaceon, because Glaceon also has a bench sniping attack in Frost Bullet for a water and a DCE, does 90 plus 30. It's just Night Spear. It's a reprint of Night Spear. And then Polar Spear GX is great for taking something out that is just a problem. This attack does 50 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So basically what you do, either hit them with a Frost Bullet, evolve into Greninja, throw 3 damage counters on that way, and you can instantly hit your opponent, or you can instantly get your opponent up to 180 damage, and then with the Choice Band, you can bump that up to 210, which is a magic number for a lot of situations. So basically, this deck is all about not taking big one-hit KOs, but setting things up to be O-code, and that's really the whole premise behind that, and then just continually ability locking and attacking with Glaceon. So yeah, let's just go ahead and go through the numbers. First off, we have a 4-3 of Eevee and Glaceon. Highest number of those because Glaceon is the main attacker of the deck. It's the mon that we constantly want to have in the active spot. even if we can't attack with it, we still want to have Glaceon in the active so that we can ability lock our opponents, which can slow them down and give us the time that we need to maybe get another energy on board or get another Eevee, Froakie down, whatever you need to do. So 4-3 of those guys just to maximize the chances of starting with that. And you 100% want to run the Energy Evolution Eevee just because you're able to get a turn 1 Glaceon, and a turn 1 Glaceon is absolutely incredible. One Oranguru for Instruct, just as a way of trying to somewhat counteract a late game N, because this deck does rely a lot on drawing and playing stuff from our hand each turn, so not being able to get to those resources is very detrimental, so Oranguru combats that a little bit. 2, Lele in order to Lele into Brigette turn 1, which is the strongest start for this deck. 3-3-2 of Froakie, Frogadier, and Greninja just to get a couple on board. I mean, they're not the main attacker of the deck. You can run more of them if you want. I mean, you can you can run a couple more Froakie, but just to not clunk things up. 3-3-2 is what Aura used. I tried to use a 3-3-3 for a while, but I was always having a Greninja in my hand when I didn't want it. So yeah, that's just kind of how that ended up working out. So I mean, it works out. So yeah, I hate to say this, but Orabomb was right. On to the items for Aqua Patch in order to power up our attackers very quickly, potentially get a turn 1 Frost Sphere in the right situation. 1, Field Blower, because Garbodor and Choice Bands are annoying. 2, Professor's Letter to go along with 2, Crasher Wake. Now, admittedly, Crasher Wake was kind of a card that I saw this in Aura's list and was kind of like, it's not that good. I really didn't want to use it. I was just going to go with a little bit more. I think I was going to go with, I think 1 more Cynthia and 1 more Sycamore, as opposed to the 2 Crasher Wakes. But not only do Professor's Letters let you get an Energy Evolution off simply by having the Professor's Letter in hand, letting you search out the 2 energy, Crasher Wake has actually come in insanely handy late in games where I've been N to a low hand size, and then I draw into a Professor's Letter and Crasher Wake, or just Crasher Wake and 2 energy, or something to that effect, where I'm able to discard both of those and get at any 2 cards that I want from my deck. So I mean, it's a little steep of a cost, but with Professor's Letter and then Aqua Patch, you're able to use that to your advantage and able to turn just like a single Professor's Letter into the cost you needed for Crasher Wake. So it ended up being kind of cool, and I hope I get to show it off what it can do in this video. 1 Rescue Stretcher is our method of recursion, because we really don't need to recur the water energy, as Aqua Patch can be plenty, but you do have to be careful not to overextend yourself. 4 Ultra Ball to guarantee to get the mods we want when we want them. As for the supporters, you got 1 Brigette. I would like to run 2, but one's all you need, just because you really only need to start with an Eevee. Yes, you would like to get more Froakie down immediately, but I mean, it's, well, more Froakie and another Eevee. But really, as long as you have an Eevee start, you should be able to delay your opponent long enough to be able to draw into the cards that you need later. So that's why I'm okay with 1 Brigette, because if you can start with it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. 3-3-3, well, I guess for draw supporters, 3-3-2 Cynthia and Sycamore, it would be my normal 4-3-3, but because there are 2 Crasher Wake, I was like, okay, cut 1 Cynthia, cut 1 Sycamore, sounds good. And then 3 Guzma, because Guzma's Guzma. It's awesome. As for the tool cards, you got 2 Choice Bands and 2 Float Stones. Choice Bands, obviously, for the extra damage output, and then 2 Float Stones for the free retreat. One thing I forgot to mention, now that I think about it, is I forgot to mention the Shadowy Hunter GX. Greninja's not only there for the 30 damage, or the 20 damage from Frogadier and the 30 damage from evolving. Haze Slash can, well, first of all, Greninja is really, really bulky, so it can take hits. Haze Slash is a decent attack. I mean, 3 for 110, it's kind of meh, especially for a stage 2. But what's cool about this is you can let Greninja get very heavily damaged. Haze Slash, put all the cards back in your deck and essentially remove the damage done by your opponent to Greninja, so that's pretty awesome. But then Shadowy Hunter GX, this attack does 130 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Basically, with the combination of bench sniping that you have all game long with Glaceon and the evolutions, Greninja's able to finish off a game very easily. Just like, okay, you sent something damage to the bench, that thing's not safe, that thing is going down. So that's just another thing that I forgot to mention that Greninja can do. But yeah, as for the energy, just 4 DCE, because all of our attackers, literally every attacker in the deck uses it except for like Frogadier, but meh. And then 8 water energy just to have them when we need them. So yeah, that's the deck, and let's just go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Manuel Rojas with a Psychic, Water, and Dark deck. So let's be real, it's the standard format. If you see Dark, it's probably Zoroark. So it's a Zoroark and Water deck. Tapu Lele is probably the Psychic type, so I'm thinking it's either like Zoroark Glaceon, or it could potentially be a Zoroark Greninja deck. I've seen that running around a little bit, or it could just be something else altogether. Okay, so we see the Froakie. Yeah, I guess it couldn't have been Zoroark Glaceon because we didn't see the normal type. But I do start off with a perfect hand. I get an Eevee, I get a Water Energy, so I'm just going to look through my deck really quickly, see what I have. Okay, so nothing overly significant is prized, so I want to end. Now, let's just Cynthia turn 1. Let's just go ahead and just shuffle draw 6, see if I can draw into a Froakie, which I do. And yeah, I mean, that works. Unfortunately, I don't have any draw supporters, so that's going to be a little bit annoying. And he does have the Brigette, so he's going to get a couple Zorua out. The only thing is, Greninja and Zoroark both will not have abilities against me, so that is very, very nice for me. And oh, that's fantastic. That actually turns this into a pretty solid spot, all things considered, because having the DCE means that I still will be able to attack even though I don't have a draw supporter, so I can just go ahead and Brigette. Let's go ahead and let's actually target down the Zorua, I think. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Frost Bullet, knock out the, well, not quite knock out the Zorua, but maybe I can get a Froakie next turn, or a Frogadier, so that I can evolve and get damage off on the Zorua, or I can just target that thing down with another Frost Bullet. Not completely sure. My opponent does go ahead and evolve into a Zoroark and gets an energy onto that, so he might be able to attack, and he's gonna Guzma. Well, he's not gonna be able to knock me out unless he plays more Pokemon, but it doesn't look like he has it. And then what I can always do is just go ahead and I can go ahead and Guzma up the Frogadier, knock that thing out, and knock out the Zorua, but my opponent will have the ability to trade, so in all likelihood, I'm just going to go ahead and assume he'll get something, because if he doesn't get anything, then that is fantastic for me. But I'm going to assume that he does get something. Let's see if he does. It gets a Timer Ball. Does he hit? Well, he hits a head and a tail. That is fine. Gets another Zoroark. So my opponent is starting to put together a couple Zoroarks, so I will have to just start targeting those things down. But regardless, I am going to Guzma up the Frogadier this coming turn, knock that thing out, and then start spreading a little bit more damage. And he doesn't even knock out my Frogadier. I will be able to get into a Greninja this coming turn, hopefully if I drew into that. But my opponent does just concede right there, as he wasn't even able to knock out the Frogadier. Would have just slapped the Choice Band onto my Glaceon, brought up the Frogadier, knocked that thing out with Frost Bullet, and then I would have been in an amazing spot as Zoroark would not have abilities, and he doesn't even have any Greninjas or Froakies down to try to spread damage around. So yeah, that was a short but solid first game. Let's go ahead and try to find another one. Alrighty, we've got another one against Wiggus with a Dark and Grass deck. So once again, see a Dark type, probably something with Zoroark. Do we win the coin flip? Unfortunately, we do not. However, I mean, that's still, I don't know. I still should be able to get a turn 1 Glaceon if I draw into decent enough cards, which I do. I get an Eevee and a Water Energy. That is all that I want. And I also have a Choice Band that I can play down and a Draw Supporter. So, admittedly, I don't have the... Like, if there was a Brigette instead of an N, then that would be a perfect turn 1. And we see an Execute. So that's actually kind of interesting. I'm not sure... In all honesty, I have no idea what Alolan Executor does. I know that there's the Alolan Executor GX, but I'm not sure what... But I mean, we saw a Psychic Energy, so I don't think this is Alolan Executor. It might be the other one. I thought I remembered something about the other one being like energy in the discard pile or something like that, but I don't fully remember. But regardless, I am going to go ahead and evolve into a Glaceon, and ooh, here we go. So let's Ultra Ball. I hate to get rid of a DCE, but I mean, it's honestly what I need to get rid of at this point. It's the best option for me in order to get a Froakie down. I still have a DCE for next turn, and if my opponent doesn't play anything else down, I will actually just win the game off of evolving Froakie into Frogadier. And never mind, my opponent gets an Alolan Executor. Okay, so Tropical Shake, 20 more for each type of basic energy card in your discard pile. Can't add more than 100 this way. Okay, so that's what that does. So that's going to be a little bit annoying, but my opponent does get another Execute down, which, yeah, I'm just going to turn those 2 Executes into 2 prizes. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I really don't want to play the N right now because that would give my opponent a fresh hand. And if there's one thing that I've seen, it's that my opponent does not have much of anything going at all. I mean, they haven't played a supporter. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to give them a supporter. And I even get a Cynthia off of my prizes, so I don't even have to give my opponent anything. And there's only 2 energy right now. He's going to Guzma. Yeah, going to be able to knock me out, actually, because of weakness. However, that's annoying, but it's not the end of the world, as I do just get to go into my Glaceon and fire off a Frost Bullet. So let's just go ahead and Cynthia, see if I can get a couple more Froakie down, or an Eevee or something like that. I get the Eevee, that is fine with me. Let's just go ahead and evolve it into a Glaceon. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Then I have the Aqua Patch in order to be able to play that. Let's do that, throw that onto the Glaceon, and I could Ultra Ball, but I really would just kind of rather hold on to the energy in my hand. That way I can still attack. I can still attach and attack. There we go. And all things considered, I'm in a pretty solid spot. He's going to be able to hit me for 90 damage at the very least this turn, but okay, so we see a Sneasel come down, and he got a Sycamore off of something. So this isn't Zoroark, this is Weavile. So that's going to be actually kind of annoying for my Glaceon. Oh boy. Because he will be able to hit me with Rule of Evil for 60 on both of my Glaceon. And that's just gonna be kind of sort of bad. And unfortunately, both Sneasels have 70 HP as opposed to 60. I mean, my opponent's definitely making the right play with those guys in terms of playing the Sneasel with 70 HP so that they can't just get sniped down. And yeah, Tropical Shake is going to do 110 damage. That's not the end of the world, as I actually even get a Froakie as well. So what I think I'm going to do is just play down the Froakie, play the energy, and I mean, I could always just go for potentially an Oranguru or a Lele, but I don't need to at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and knock out the Executor, get a prize, see what it is, and then I can determine what I need to do from there. My opponent promotes the Sneasel and goes into Weavile. Okay, never mind. What I was thinking is that maybe I could Guzma up the fresh Weavile on the bench and knock it out, or fresh Sneasel on the bench, put damage onto the one with 30 with Froakie, and then I could Frost Bullet that to knock it out. But my opponent does play another Execute, and quite frankly, that's perfect for me because my opponent is literally just giving me free prizes with the bench sniping capability that I have in this deck. Like, I'm gonna be able to snipe that thing down with Froakie and Glaceon. Like, that's just gonna happen. That's just a free prize. So my opponent starting to Rule of Evil. He's hitting my Glaceon. This Glaceon will go down next turn, but unfortunately for my opponent, let's just go ahead and do this. Let's get rid of that. And do I want to get rid of the Crasher Wake? Yeah, even though I feel like it could be healthy. It could be healthy, wow. But I do just want to get the Frogadier. I know I'm playing with fire a little bit right here by not getting a supporter, but I think it's in my best interest right now to just take take 2 prizes, put myself 1 prize away from winning the game. That way, even if my opponent does knock out this active Glaceon, I will have a relatively fresh Glaceon on the bench to be able to knock him out in return and really just counter whatever he does. So, yeah, I'm in a very good position. He will be able to knock me out. Like I said, he attaches the energy, but I do have the Glaceon on the bench in order to be able to take that knockout on the Weavile in order to win the game. I mean, my opponent's doing what he can, but I really don't see Yeah, I really don't see what he could do to avoid losing the game right there. He is able to Rule of Evil knock out my Glaceon, but all that means for me is that I'm able to go into my other Glaceon and just go straight for the knockout. You know what? Let's just go ahead and play the Eevee down. And darn it. I mean, I knew I only had 3 Glaceon, and I can kind of see all 3 from my board position right now, but I was like, yeah, I'll go for one more evolution. Unfortunately, that's not how that works, so I am able to knock out the Weavile with a Frost Bullet and take the game. And yeah, we are able to complete the damage daily challenge, so all that's left is just completing the evolution daily challenge, which I will be looking to do in the next match. So yeah, I mean, that was a very, very cool deck by my opponent. I mean, Executor plus Weavile, spread around damage with Weavile, finish off KOs with Executor. Very, very cool deck, but we were able to come through in the end and take it down just because Execute is so weak, and this deck specializes on bench sniping. So yeah, solid second game. Got to show off what this deck can do, and let's go ahead and try to find another one. Alrighty, we have found another one against CHR15CO. I mean, Crisco? CHR, yeah. Yeah, Crisco. That's a funny name. So we do win the coin flip, so we will get to go first and hopefully shut off abilities immediately. Well, then again, that's given that I draw into a Pokemon, but otherwise I should be able to start with something, I would hope, so that I can shut off my opponent's abilities before they're able to get anything much going at all. Well, how many times did I mulligan? I mulligan 3 times, okay. Well, I start off with an Eevee and DCEs, but can I get just a water energy? Oh, well, I get an N, which is fantastic. Like, that's absolutely great. That's exactly what I wanted. So I am going to be able to N, make my opponent not have any of those cards that they extra mulligan cards. And okay, so let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Guzma and the Lele to grab a Froakie so that I have something that I can go with. And then let's just take a quick look through the deck. All 4 DCE are there. Good to know, because I do already have the supporter in hand, so I am able to just get rid of the Lele. And then let's go ahead and evolve Eevee into a Glaceon. And I have the Frogadier for next turn so that I can potentially set up to knock out the Absol with a Frost Bullet or whatever else my opponent decides to play down. So yeah, I mean, crap, we see a Hoopa. So this deck has ways of dealing with it, but Hoopa is something that this deck really does struggle with. Like, that's the fact that my damage done by your opponent. Yeah, okay, so it's not even by effects of attacks including damage. Okay, so yeah, I mean, he has a Kiawe, what the heck? Okay, I'm alright. So there's that. Let's go ahead and Frogadier, and yeah, I just need to start building up damage on this Hoopa. And luckily, Greninja's ability allows me to start sniping it down, but unfortunately, that's not conducive to being able to knock out. Yeah, it's not conducive to being able to take out Hoopa in a particularly efficient manner. So what I'm going to do, Ultra Ball, get rid of Brigette and a Water Energy to grab Oranguru, because Oranguru is going to have to be my way of dealing with Hoopa, as that's the only non-EX or GX attacker that I have. Let's go ahead and evolve the Eevee, just try to get set up as best as possible, I suppose. I could have just put the energy onto the Oranguru, but whatever. I just felt like getting the Glaceon set up a little bit better so that once I start needing it, then it can be a better spot. So he has the energy onto the Absol. He's just going to retreat into the Hoopa. And quite honestly, my opponent doesn't have much of anything set up. It just so happens that Hoopa is pretty darn phenomenal in this format. Because there's so much relying on EXs there's so much relying on, well, GXs in particular. But yeah, I mean, Hoopa's pretty darn good in this format right now. So what I'm going to do is get rid of my choice band and the choice band off the Hoopa so that I can attach a so that I can attach a Float Stone if I draw into it. Let's Aqua Patch up my Glaceon. And yeah, so Oranguru, I'm going to have that. Yeah, it will be able to one-shot the Hoopa from here. But just kind of have to hope. Okay, he's powering up the Absol. That's fine. Super Psybolt's not going to be quite a knockout, but he will be able to knock me out eventually. What I can do at this point is Ultra Ball, get rid of the N and the Crasher Wake to grab... No, I don't want to grab a Glaceon. Let's grab a Greninja. Let's grab a Greninja so I can start putting Absol in range of Frost Bullet, I believe. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Put the Absol... Yeah, hit the Absol for 30. And then DCE up the Oranguru, and then Instruct, see if I can draw into something that will help me. No, unfortunately I don't. So yeah, I'm just going to pass the turn right there. Like, man, I gave my opponent an extra turn basically by getting rid of the Choice Band off of Hoopa. What I could have done is brought up the Absol, gone into... Honestly, I don't know what I would have gone into. My opponent plays down a Lele and gets a DCE on it. So that's going to be... Yeah, he's going to be able to respond to my Oranguru immediately, but the thing is, once I knock out this Hoopa, I'm going to be in a better spot for knocking out... I'm going to be in a spot where I can start attacking the Lele with my Glaceon as well. And I get another Guzma. I don't want Guzma right now. Go back into the deck. Give me a shuffle draw. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and Psychic, knock out the Hoopa with my Oranguru, and now I can hopefully get something going. This is a very tricky matchup simply because of the Hoopa. Like, I'm not used to having to attack with Oranguru in this deck, and just the fact that my opponent has Hoopa gets another DCE. Oh boy. So that's going to be tricky because he will be able to knock out my Oranguru, so now I don't even have any Pokemon draw support either. Let's promote the Greninja because it has the Float Stone on it. My opponent plays down an Entei. So I'm really not sure what type of deck my opponent is running. But what I can do this turn is knock out the Entei and actually put the Lele in range of being Polar Spear GX'd next turn. Yeah, so we are able to one-shot the Entei, take a couple prizes off that. Yes, my opponent will be able to go into his Lele and hit me for some very good damage. But I can just Polar Spear GX in order to knock it out, and I think that's what I'm going to have to go for. Another thing... Oh, crap. Is he going to be able to knock me out? Because that's 8. That's 160. 190. My opponent's going to be 10 damage short of knocking me out, luckily, because if my opponent was able to knock me out at this point, then I would, quite frankly, be in an awful spot as I have nothing set up. So, we see another Hoopa come to... Ah, crap. So I have to knock out this Lele when I have the chance. I don't want my opponent getting another Hoopa. Yeah, he does just hit the Lele hit my Glaceon for some good damage. Let's play down the Froakie. Do I want to rely on another Glaceon is the question. I think so. I think being able to Ability Lock, use Greninja's attack to shuffle it back in the deck after taking a bunch of damage, and then Ability Lock my opponent from Lele or anything like that could be beneficial. So, right, how much have I gone through? Okay, so I've gone through a decent amount. Let's energy up the Greninja or Glaceon, or Eevee for Glaceon. Should be a Glaceon in the deck. So I think I'm just going to evolve my Eevee into a Glaceon so I have that ability lock, as I do have Aqua Patch to be able to accelerate energy onto Greninja. Let's Float Stone up this guy, and then just Polar Spear GX, knock out my opponent's Tapu Lele, take 2 prizes, and now all I have to do is just heavily target down that Absol on the bench. Yes, I won't be able to use Greninja's attack to snipe something, but the fact that I can focus down the Absol with Polar Spear, or with Frost Spear, and abilities from my Froakie should be good enough. My opponent does end me, unfortunately, down to 1. This is where having a... Yeah, this is where having my Oranguru would be very handy, and I actually get a DCE. How can I work with that? Ah, crap, he's going to get rid of both my Float Stones. So that's a little bit annoying, but I think I still should be able to play around that. Please don't hit this. Please don't hit this, because if he has 2 turns to power up Hoopa, I think I should be good. But if he hits this, then I only have 1 turn, and this is where it's... Ah, crap. So my opponent is 1 turn away from having a Hoopa attacking, because if Hoopa wasn't attacking for 2 more turns, then I could just very easily snipe down the Absol and I'd be good. And oh, thank you, Lord. I top deck into a Cynthia, and I think I don't even need to attack with Greninja. I think I just need to start... I think I just need to put all my efforts into knocking out this Absol. So let's just go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Water Energy and the Froakie for the Frogadier. I want to keep the Guzma. I guess I could have. I guess I could have kept the Froakie, as I have another Frogadier in the deck, but I wanted to keep the Guzma so that I could potentially just Guzma up the Absol if I needed to. So let's just go ahead and put the extra 20 damage onto that, and then with the 30 from Frost Spear, next turn with another Frost Spear, even if he knocks out this Glaceon, I will be able to snipe down the Absol and win the game, as long as my opponent does not have an Acerola. If he has an Acerola, there's a pretty solid chance I lose, and my opponent doesn't even end me. So we are able to win this game. He does just knock out my Glaceon, and okay, so 100 HP, 30, what I want... Ah, crap, I guess I should have... I mean, I have the Guzma, and all I have to do is attack, but, do I? I mean, is there something I'm missing? Because I feel like there's something I'm missing, otherwise my opponent wouldn't be... Otherwise my opponent wouldn't be this chill about it. Yeah, okay, I have two energy retreat costs. Let's just go into Greninja, bring up Absol. Okay, so, I mean, I was... Yeah, hindsight 2020, I was definitely overplaying it at the end of the game, but... I mean, you guys have seen me. I make stupid mistakes right at the end of the game when I have the win in hand. So I was just making sure I had absolutely everything covered so that I wouldn't make that mistake and potentially just lose the game off of a choke. So, yeah, my opponent does forfeit before we are able to finish out the game. But, I mean, like, hey, that's still a win. I wanted to make sure that I had the win, and I did end up getting the win and make sure that I didn't choke. So, yeah, this was a pretty solid game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I think I'm going to end the video there, just show off exactly what Glaceon and Greninja can do. Unfortunately, did not get to use Greninja's GX attack, but Glaceon's just proved too useful in the match that I was able to use it. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.